Hey everyone, Michael Pickens here, host of the Libertarian Leadership weekday live stream where I interview libertarian candidates and activists doing some amazing things. Today we have a candidate coming out of North Carolina, Cabarrus County. He's running for county commissioner there. He's been a dedicated activist and Libertarian Party member since 1998. In addition to his campaign, he's also very active in other liberty organizations. He serves as webmaster and social media coordinator for Dr. Mary Ruwart, who wrote the book Healing Our World, as well as donor and foundation relations manager for Liberty International, which is one of the top organizations putting on pro liberty events all across the world. He also is a state coordinator for You Are the Power with Spike Cohen, development director for the Foundation of a Free Society. Excuse me, this is his experience, right? He was also a campaign manager for Lee Wrights for president in 2012. If you remember Lee Wrights, he had the slogan, "I am not at war." I remember his campaign very vividly, and assistant campaign manager for Dr. Mary Ruwart in 2008. He has won a few different awards, Libertarian Activist of the Year for the Libertarian Party of Illinois in 2012, Most Outspoken for the Liberty Award for the Libertarian Party of North Carolina in 2004 and in 2003. Also for the Libertarian Party of North Carolina, he won the Most Valued Activist Award. Thomas, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited about this conversation and hearing more about what you've done in the past and then how you're utilizing all that knowledge and experience right now in your race for Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. It's an honor and privilege. I've known of you. We've crossed paths. I know you've been part of the movement for a long time. Of course, I'm an old dog, been around since the late 90s. So thank you again for having me. Like I was telling you, if I look wore out, I am, not only from being an activist for over 25 years, I'm in the process of moving into a new apartment and starting a new job with Liberty International at the same time. So my life is really up in the air, but it's good problem to have. But I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So my first question for you is, obviously your extensive background in the Libertarian Party and libertarian organizations, why not only are you running for office, but why have you put so much energy and effort into the liberty movement?
Well, like the first time, I believe this will be number 11 as far as running for office. And the first time I ran, we were organizing the party, county party at the time, and it was really maybe a little selfish reason. I wanted to be able to vote for a local libertarian, and I knew we needed to have a local libertarian, running for office if we're going to be a county party. So I ran for county commission in 2002.
Now, I'm gonna pause you right there and just talk about that.
Sure.
For those looking to establish county organizations and get your state party going or get your county party going, running candidates is the best way to do that because it gets people excited about someone running for office versus just some abstract reason to get the party started. So thank you for that. Please continue.
Yeah, and I'll just add to what you're saying. It gives you something to do instead of sitting around and debating. Which social stuff's fine, but we want a free world to live in. So having a candidate gives you plenty of work to do. There's no reason why you can't give people fun things to do. But I won't get off on that. What really inspired me and has through the years is seeing the other people that came before me and the example they set. Like in North Carolina, we had Barbara Howe, who's a longtime member, and Sean Hall. I saw how they ran their campaigns, and I tried to learn from them as mentors. But more recently, in the last few years, I've become, it wasn't a life plan, but I've become an activist for the unhoused, our homeless population. And if you'll go to my Facebook page, I don't have my website ready for published yet, but I do have a Facebook page. I was involved with You Are the Power. I'm just to make sure people understand. I was past state coordinator for You Are the Power. I'm no longer took that. When I ran for office in 2024, I stepped down. But me and Spike we spent 9 months rotating, being good cop, bad cop in Gastonia. Long story short, a unhoused Iraqi war veteran was brutally assaulted by Gastonia police, and his service dog, Sunshine, was tased, which led to her death. And long story short, it took 9 months and 40 grand to get the body cameras footage released. We had a hearing, and lo and behold, the first piece of evidence that the city attorney has to not release the body camera footage, she read one of my Facebook posts, which was a chilling and proud moment at the same time. It was really weird. It was like, it was an honor, but it was also chilling because I knew that I was under investigation, and she made that very clear. She didn't name my name in open court, but she read my Facebook post. And long story short, that to live in a country where that's acceptable, Michael, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen here in Cabarrus. Now, that happened in Gaston County. That's about 40 miles from where I live. So, I want to make sure that disease does not creep into our county. Fortunately, our sheriff's department, I don't know of any type of incident that's happened in the past. And I want to make sure that continues to be the case because, don't get me wrong, I honor any person that follows the Constitution, honors their oath, runs towards danger, particularly for the life of a stranger. I honor and take my hat off to that person, but we've got to hold those people accountable. The thin blue line has become a,
cult?
It's almost like it's muzzled people, because you can't rat out a brother or a sister in the fraternity. I get it. North Carolina has no whistleblower protection for law enforcement, which, as county commission can, there's not a whole lot I can do except advocate for that.
Yeah.
And I do. But seeing that case, and then I'll wrap up because I know you have other questions, but in conjunction with Joshua's case in Gastonia, and this is You Are the Power too, took part in this, Faith, Hope, and Love Enrichment Ministries. Pastor Moses, his whole ministry is to help the unhoused and the addicted. Joshua was one of his people that he was helping. City of Gastonia tried to shut his church down. You've probably seen this, and it happens all over the country. They'll weaponize code enforcement.
Yep.
If it's something they don't like, they'll weaponize code enforcement. The big sin that Pastor Moses committed was letting people inside when it was like 20 degrees outside. And,
So the government was blocking him from helping to make sure people did not freeze to death. And they were coming after him because he probably wasn't permitted as a hotel or some ridiculous, local code.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And, the irony, to pour the proverbial salt in that wound, Michael, the city's response was that he needs to stick to the matters of the faith. And I'm thinking, what's a better example of sticking to matters of the Christian faith than feeding and housing your neighbor? And
without the force of government being involved, without stealing money from everyone. They were doing it voluntarily with tithing, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You wouldn't believe it. And again, You Are the Power is instrumental. Anyway, we saved the church. Pastor Moses will tell you today, because of You Are the Power and the Libertarian Party in North Carolina, he became a member of our party.
Yep.
He's a lifelong Democrat. But he became a member of the Libertarian Party because how we stood by, particularly with Joshua's case, we reached out to the Republican and Democratic parties of Gaston County. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because it's law enforcement, man. You can't. It's the third rail, and particularly where I live in the red. I'm surrounded. It's very red, except for the urban areas. It's very red, and our current president, he just wants to give police. He doesn't care what they do. He thinks they can put the boot down on anybody's neck, unless it's his, of course. But I won't go off on that. But anyway, those two issues is what's driven me to continue to run, because I've got every reason in the world not to at this stage of my life. I mean, particularly involved with Liberty International, which is not partisan politics. It's a nonprofit educational organization. And of course, Dr. Ruart. One blessing working for Dr. Ruart, if you may remember, she was on the judicial committee a couple terms ago during the whole Mises thing, and of course I had extra incentive to stay out of that mess because
Same here.
So, but really, and I just bring that up not to get off on inside baseball, but I really don't have anything to do with my party involvement now. Has to do with running as a candidate, supporting candidates here in North Carolina. I'm hoping National can get their act together. I will be going to the national convention, not as a delegate, but to support Dr. Ruark. She'll be there and be one of the speakers, I believe. So, but anyway, not to get off on inside baseball. And of course, anybody, people like to ask for endorsements. I don't give inter-party endorsements anymore. I'll be glad to endorse races against Democrats, Republicans, but I don't give endorsements anymore just because my focus is that's not where it's at. I had that time in the salt mines, and I'll let the younger generations deal with that grit and grind. I got a different kind of grit and grind going right now, Michael. But sorry to get off. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I am not interested in the inter-party politics. I am a member of one caucus, and that is called the Get Libertarians Elected to Office caucus, and that's all I care about. Hopefully everyone can get their stuff together and really be professional and focus the party on the one thing that we should be doing, and that is educating the public on the principles of liberty, which, Liberty International is great at doing. And that's what candidates should be focused on, is educating and informing the whole mass of the people, because they are the only sure alliance for the preservation of our liberty. That's a quote from Thomas Jefferson. That's what our candidates should be doing. And the reason why people don't vote libertarian is because they have not been informed on what it means to be a libertarian. The story of your pastor, once he learned exactly what you stood for, he was like, count me in. Right?
Yep.
So Joe Hanoush says, get Libertarians Elected to Office caucus. I think I accidentally just formed another caucus. Great.
Hey, always use one more. What the heck, right?
Yeah, what the heck.
But Michael, Joe, I know as long as I've known who you were, I know that's been your focus is you're real pragmatic as far as that goes. You don't get caught in the inertia and all the chaos. You try to stay focused, and that's good. We need people to keep us, because libertarians by nature, we can go off on tangents and get knee deep into philosophy. And, that's all fine and good, but at the end of the day, you've got to do the nuts and bolts, the boring work, database stuff, which is boring. I admit it. It's not something that that I'd want to do on my day off, but it's something that has to be done. Somebody has to do that back office work. And I'm glad that despite our problems, Libertarian Party is getting better at dividing the labor, because more, there's people that have their niche, and that's what they need, like particularly treasurers. I'm going to give a shout out to Sean Hall in North Carolina. He is a treasurer for multiple candidates in our state, and that is one of the greatest underappreciated services there is. Because if anybody goes to jail with campaign finance, it's the treasurer.
It's the treasurer. There's a lot of risk to it.
So
let's hop back on your campaign. Joe Hanoush, he's running for the 5th time, and he said he got involved in his local party after a candidate invited me. Right. So let's talk more about the issues that you stand for, because obviously, as a candidate, you're out there preaching the good word, talking to people and educating them. And the candidate should be the spokesperson. They should be the salesperson that are out there representing these principles. So what are some other issues that you care about that's important to this race?
Well, I've already mentioned one's close to my heart, and that's to make sure that law enforcement treats everybody with human respect and dignity, particularly the unhoused and veterans, particularly who, I let it be clear that, I despise the wars, but, I support our brothers and sisters, because those are our family, our friends and neighbors they're answering the call, no matter what we think about foreign policy, commander in chief or what have you. So I just want to make that clear, because sometimes our opponents want to smear us as, America haters and all that stuff. But let's see, to get back to where I'm sorry, I lost track. Michael, help me.
So obviously, holding police accountable for human dignity, maybe, abolishing qualified immunity. But what are some other issues that, as a county commissioner,
Yes.
you can do to make a positive difference in Cabarrus County?
Well, one of the things is we've talked about is using code enforcement as a weapon. Now, as far as Cabarrus County, I don't know of any particular nefarious cases. I know in the past I've tried to assist people with the city of Concord. They can be a little aggressive, particularly against political opponents. I won't get into that story, but I want to make sure that's that there's at least one member of there's 5 seat. Now for the election, there's 3 seats open for election, but it's a 5-seat board. I want to make sure there's at least one person that anybody in the county can go to and at least get a sympathetic ear, whether I can help within my official capacity or not. I want to be that watchdog, particularly when it comes to budgets and things. Right now, just to give you a little background, our county we haven't had anyone besides a Republican elected to county commission since 1988.
Oh, wow.
But the current Republican Party, like a lot of Republican parties, are in turmoil, split in turmoil because of the MAGA group and then your more traditional centrist Republicans. It's really nasty here, which, part of me as a candidate, that's to my advantage. But again, I'm running as part of the reason I'm running is to be a peacemaker and a healer too, because I had a candidates forum last week, and it's like at the end of, candidates come and go, campaigns come and go, elections come and go. But at the end of the day, we live here together as neighbors in our community, and we can disagree and still respect each other, because I'm really worried because one of my issues is mental health. It's an issue that we don't talk about enough. And that's another one, but an issue that affects people. And again, this is where I think this is a conversation we need to be having in libertarian circles with the housing crisis. And there is a housing crisis, because not only here in Cabarrus County, all over the country, we've got first-time home buyers, young, struggling couples competing in a housing market with Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, all these private equity firms who, I'm not a business lawyer or expert, but where is antitrust laws and all this? It's like they'll set up shell companies and buy their own homes at inflated prices just to keep the market, to keep the price up. And whether it's legal or not, that's highly unethical, in my opinion. And as a county commissioner, I don't know really, to be honest, I don't know right now what I could do if I was in office. I think one thing that would get their attention now, this is not exactly, I want to run this by you and see what you think, Michael. This is not exactly a libertarian answer. But back during the financial crisis of 2007, 2008, Riverside, California had a Green Party mayor. And I'm not advocating for this, but if you threaten this, you might get attention from city officials. What they were doing, so many people it was such a crisis, people were losing their homes, getting kicked out. Evicted, that the city was going in and buying the homes up at market value using eminent domain. Now, I'm not saying I advocate for this, but it's creative. Just hear me out. Use eminent domain to buy those houses and then rework the contracts. Now, I'm not advocating for that, but I don't know if you can do moratoriums. What I'm scared of, I see what's going to happen when the shoe finally drops, and we're going to have. You think we got a homeless crisis now? It's going to get worse. Again, I'm not advocating what that mayor did. I think it's pretty creative, and I'm sure the banks didn't like it, which I'm a fan of that. So but again, I don't want to get in trouble on the libertarian podcast saying, "Oh man, this guy's advocating government involvement in the market." I'm not. I'm just thinking we need to think outside the box, because, in Canada, I've run for office. Where's without having to do a lot of research, we need, good answers for our candidates for me to have, on these issues. So I just bring that up because I know the work you do. That's something I think we could use. But again, as a county commissioner, it gets tough as far as what you can actually do. And I know as libertarians, we get in trouble because we can be so abstract, and you need to keep in mind what office you're running for. It's nothing wrong with advocating and being using that as a bully pulpit, but you got to stay in the real world, because right now it's the inflation and stuff like this, and unfortunately, a lot of those issues are top down. That county commission can't do a lot. That's based on the federal policy. The Federal Reserve,
Yep.
and then state and local. So it's still a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a lot of libertarians that come on the show, that some are very extreme anarchist, voluntarist libertarians, and others are pragmatic, minarchist type libertarians. I'm a weird combination of both and believe we should all work together to move the dial, because we are way too far away from either of those spectrums right now currently. But as far as what the county commission can do, they can control property taxes. I'm actually releasing an article here in the next couple of days on voluntary property taxes. And this is something that could be implemented at the local level, where if there's a vote for a levy or a bond that is going to fund the school district or fund the fire department or fund the police department or the sheriff's department or fund whatever project they're trying to fund, the people that vote yes, they can pay for it. The people that vote no, they don't have to pay for it. So the ones that want it, let's say 45% of the people vote yes. Well, guess what? They've got 45% of the funding. Now, the project will take longer to get funded, and maybe they can use some other creative ways to raise the rest of the money, but it's completely voluntary based on consent, right? We should have consent of the governed. Now, a lot of people point towards voting as consent, but that's not true, because we're all individuals.
That's
and
right.
We all individuals should be able to decide and agree or not agree on taxes or not. And as we see the formulas that are being used to increase property taxes, whether it's the artificially inflated property values by Vanguard and these corporations that are buying up homes, or if it's just an increase in property taxes by a vote of the commissioners, right? And in your county, they only need 3 out of the 5 to vote to raise property taxes. That's not consent either. So giving people the opportunity to name their property value. We've got people who are retired, who are living on pensions, maybe business owners with a stagnant business that they don't have more money coming in, right? So all these people on fixed incomes have no way to pay that increase. And what happens is 2 things. Either they decrease their quality of life, they're having to buy, bad food, or, get their food from a food bank, right? And it's not fresh, right? They're not being able to buy nutritious food, or they have to get rid of a car, or they have to cut back on whatever it is, right? Their quality of life goes down. And then 2, it's so bad that they lose the house over a couple $1,000 tax bill. The county turns around, sells it at auction for $50,000 or $70,000 or whatever it is, and they keep the entire amount sold. And the person who lost their house over a few $1,000s in taxes, they lost everything. They're kicked to the street, and now you have more unhoused people, that are reliant now on the system, and the government caused all of it. So there needs to be reform based on consent. That is the only moral and ethical way to do it.
I agree. I agree, and we, of course, we need more libertarians elected everywhere, but we need some libertarian sheriffs.
Yes,
that would solve a lot of problems. But talking about priorities, of course, I'm still massaging and setting up my platform, and I know I've got to have, I've got to be able to speak to the issues of the day. But again, what the passion behind me is what I've seen, how the homeless have been treated. My biggest priority, taxes, or economic freedom. It's all important. You can't subdivide it. You've got to have economic and social or personal freedom. But my priority is to end as much unnecessary suffering as possible, particularly when that's inflicted by a government that's supposed to serve and protect the people, particularly ones that swore an oath to defend the Constitution. I just find it vile and disgusting when we don't and it's the people's fault.
Yep.
The comments, Michael, after that incident in Gastonia with Joshua Rohr, a veteran, for a year and a half, an employee of the Gastonia Police Department who ran their social media cyberbully Joshua Rohr would actually go to his personal page under the guise of Gastonia Police Department and just hound him constantly because he was fighting for himself. Luckily, that guy got let go. He was the first head to roll. The police chief resigned abruptly, and unless there's some mediation, there's going to be a trial in the 4th district, federal district. It's going to the trial. There were 4 issues. I think there were 4 qualified immunity issues that the defense brought up. When it went through the appellate process, they agreed on all of them except one, and the one they didn't disagree was the officers couldn't be held accountable for the actual law itself because the law was so poorly written by the city. And in like a PS, they said you may want to consider suing them over that. I mean, that actually getting advice from the appellate judge on how to proceed. I mean, that's how bad this case is, man. It's like it should have been a slam dunk, but I got involved in March. That's when You Were the Power got involved at the 1st of March of 2022. The incident happened in October of 2021, and we're still no justice yet. So those meals do grind slow, man. It's
they
disgusting.
They do. Joe Hanush says Libertarian state attorney would be great on the flip side of the coin. They can decide not to prosecute victimless crime charges, and also they could prosecute violations of human rights, civil rights, right? In that case right there, they can take that up and go for it.
Yeah.
So we only have a few minutes left, and I just want people watching to understand how important running for local office is. In most counties and cities, they have a 5-member board, which means 3 of them elected could change every ordinance on the books. 3 of them could fix everything. And, a lot of people don't realize that. In my county, I plan on running for county commissioner. It's a 3-person board. We only need 2 people. So what I plan on doing, running for county commissioner when elected, is that I'm going to be streamlining the permitting process. Right now, it takes 9 months for a special use permit. Building permits take even longer, right? And they cost thousands of dollars. Our special use permit costs $1,700 just to turn a place from commercial to retail, and that's it. We had to pay for the traffic study and the wastewater study and the septic study, and there was another study that was on just ridiculous stuff that we had to pay for, and everything had timelines. 6 weeks for this study, and then you couldn't start the next one until that was done, and then 6 weeks for this study, and they just built it into the timelines. And everyone at the permit department was like, Michael, I get it. I understand. You got to talk to the county commission because they're the ones that write the rules. We don't make the rules. We just have to follow the rules, and we agree with you. And then I go talk to my county commissioner, and her eyes glazed over.
Of course.
Right? It's like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. Oh, I understand what you're talking about, but I don't, And she's supposed to be the Republican that's supposed to stand for lower government or smaller government. Not one bit. They keep raising property taxes. It's all pretend. It doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat.
No, it's not. It is not. It's just it's a mask, and the fact that people still can't see through that just amazes me. But it gives us work to do, right? But I need to read your, I need, like in class, I need to copy your work, Michael, as far as that permitting. I need to get that sounds like a good idea because that can always be streamlined. As far as
I got a bunch of ideas, so we can connect another time and talk about them.
Yeah, but I'll just say my background is I'm a journeyman electrician over 44 years, and I grew up in the family business. My father was an electrical contractor, so that gives me insight, and particularly with the permitting. I'll have to say in the past, Cabarrus County, compared to other surrounding counties, has done a good job. There's always room for improvement. And our county's growing so much. It's one of the fastest growing regions in the whole nation. It's unbelievable. Lilly, the pharmaceutical company, the last couple of years opened up a new manufacturing plant, and they've already taken out a $77 million expansion permit. So the economy's booming, but we've got to look after the people on the lower rung, and and that's the unhoused. And how can we make our taxes lower and our regulations lower, where less people are becoming homeless? Because so many of us are one paycheck away from living on the street, Michael. It's a lot of people surfing that thin line. I see it. I talk to them every day, and that's what I want to. A lot of times as libertarians, we have a reputation of not caring about people, but nobody can accuse me of that. That's for sure, and because we need to show that libertarianism is the compassionate answer to society's problems. It really is,
Yeah.
and that's why Dr. Mary Ruwart is my hero, my mentor, and one of my very best friends. And she's a good inspiration for everybody as far as staying positive and remembering what we're here for.
So we've got your Facebook page up. You're working on your website. But for those of you listening, if you'd like to support him, you can give his page a follow. It's Thomas Hill for Cabarrus, and that's Cabarrus County Commission. He's got more than 600 followers. Looks like he's posting some good stuff. So please follow him on Facebook, and I am sure once his website is up, he's going to be posting that. So
Yes.
He'll need some financial contributions. And if you're in the area in North Carolina, feel free to shoot him a message and see about helping him out, volunteering. He's going to need help to get elected. So, Thomas, is there anything else you'd like to say before we hop off?
No, I just want to reiterate how thankful I am that you thought of me and invited me. I really appreciate it, and appreciate all the work you do, and look forward to seeing you in Ohio. Just for our audience, real quick, I'll be at North Carolina, Texas, and Ohio conventions, as well as National and Freedom Fest. So look for me. I'm going to be traveling in the next few months, as well as running for office too. So got a lot on my plate, but it's a blessing and a joy to do it.
Awesome. Well, a couple of things. I look forward to seeing you in Ohio. And then I just want to shout out Joe Hanush. He's the one that reached out to you. He does all the scheduling for me. He is amazing. Even when I'm busy and I got to cancel, he reschedules. So shout out to Joe Hanush. He does some amazing things. He also does a lot of posts on the LP social media as well. I don't know how he finds all the time, but he's amazing. So
thanks,
anyways, Thomas, thank you so much for running. I wish you the best of luck in your campaign, and we will chat soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great night.